When a Pokemon is given the title Legendary, what exactly does that mean? Does it mean they're particularly strong? Extremely rare? Well, for the most part, yes. However, just because a Pokemon is classed as a Legendary, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be good in battle. In fact, there are quite a few Pokemon that are straight up outclassed by a regular non-Legendary. So to help me narrow down what are potentially the 10 weakest Legendary Pokemon is MysticUmbreon.
What's up, TheAuraGuardian peeps? My name is MysticUmbreon, and I will be helping Aura out today with this list. Mythical and legendary Pokemon have always been very hard to distinguish, so we decided we are just going to link them together. Of course, mythical Pokemon are different, and legendaries too, but there are still some very weak ones. We'll be ranking these Pokemon in terms of stats, abilities, typings, and a bunch of other things that don't make them as viable as other legendaries and mythicals. With that being said though, let's get right into this list.
So, let's begin. Here is our list of the 10 weakest legendary Pokemon.
Coming into the first slot of this list is the Ultra Sun and Moon Prism mascot Necrozma. Now, I don't know a lot about the Generation 7 meta, but I can say that it's not the worst legendary on this list compared to even mythicals. I mean, you can give it some choice specs with its signature move and psychic terrain, and it obliterates things left and right. The main reason it's here is because other psychic Pokemon outclass it. Not many, but some do. There's also the fact that it has a speed stat of 79, where you have its other stats practically being closer to 100. That speed stat cripples it a lot, and usually super-based Pokemon are better with higher speed stats. If you can get a Trick Room off though, then you got yourself a Vaporizing Prism. Overall, Necrozma isn't completely bad. It's a well-balanced Pokemon with a nice variety of moves, and it can give teams the hurt if ran properly with the proper setup. It's only here because of better Psychic Mons and its speed stat.
Number 9. Silverlight. Now some of you might be thinking, why on earth are we putting what seems like a non-legendary on the list? Well, those of you who think that will most likely be unaware that Silverlight was recently confirmed to in fact be a Pokemon of the legendary variety. That's cool and all, but considering that Silverlight's base stat total is already less than the average legendary to begin with, means that it's probably going to end up on the weaker side. A lot of people like to joke that Silverlight is basically a poor man's Arceus. Well, unfortunately that's pretty much true. It has 95 across the board, which overall isn't bad, but compared to most other legends that at least have a couple of stats that are 100 or more, it's pretty underwhelming, for a legendary anyway. And while Silverlight, like Arceus, has the advantage of being able to be any one type, the fact that it doesn't even perform that well competitively unfortunately gets it onto the weaker side of the legendary list. Now we were thinking about having type Null here instead, however it technically isn't confirmed quite yet that type Null is a legendary as well, plus if it was confirmed, it would probably share the spot with Silverlight anyway.
Better Charizard incoming right now. Okay, maybe not better after the Mega Evolution of Charizard Y, but I mean, it kind of had its time before its existence. Moltres is a pretty gimmicky Pokemon. Its stats aren't completely bad, but there are certain situations where you can or can't use it. For example, if you switch into Stealth Rocks, it's pretty much a GG. Its Flamethrower is powerful, its Hurricane, and I guess Air Slash, but other than that, it doesn't have a good move pool. It's got hidden power, but so does every other Pokemon. I guess you can use Agility if you want to outspeed your opponent and get the Predict switch on somebody, but other than that, that's all Moltres really has. It's just a worse version of Charizard Y, but it's still not completely crap because it's still number 8 on the list. I will say this though, I do like rubber chickens.
Number 7. Regirock. You know, for a group that's called the Legendary Titans, you'd expect them to be, well, titanic, strong, not known as arguably the weakest legendary trio in the game. Well, unfortunately this is indeed true for Regirock. Now on the plus side of this stone golem, it shares with fellow Regice the impressive feat of having the single highest stats of any legendary, being 200. But unfortunately that doesn't really stop Regirock from pretty much sucking. Being pure rock type definitely isn't the most desirable type, leaving you with 5 weaknesses, and while its defense stat is excellent, its base 50 speed brings it down a lot. Now stats like those might make you the perfect candidate for an Assault Vest user, but an Assault Vest might not be the best item to use on Regirock, when you get non-attacking moves like Stealth Rock and Thunder Wave. Regirock is far from the strongest legendary, but on the plus side, at least it isn't the worst Regi out there.
Well, looks like I'm doing the legendary birds today, and Articuno is definitely worse than Moltres. I don't like bashing on Articuno at all. It's my favorite out of the legendary birds. Articuno is just bad because of its quad weakness to rock, and other weaknesses because of its ice typing. Ice and flying is just a bad typing combination in general. Stats-wise, it's very good, but that typing is just... it's just so bad. It's got a semi-good move pool with moves such as Heal Bell, Tailwind, and Extra Sensory. You can run Assault Vest, Leftovers, so I mean, it's not a bad Pokemon, it's just the typing that just makes it complete shit. I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I like Articuno too much. Why do you make me do this, Aura? The typing in Stealth Rocks too. Ugh.
Number 5. Regice. Coming in a couple of spaces under its rocky brethren, we have the Ice Legendary Titan. Comparing Regirock and Regice, Regirock is more physical oriented, and Regice is more special oriented. But what makes Regice, in our opinions, the worst of the two? While special attackers are seen as slightly better than physical attackers, since they don't have to deal with things like Intimidate and Burn, there are other factors to take into account. Firstly, there's typing. Regirock may have one more weakness than Regice, however it has a lot more resistances, which shouldn't be surprising considering that Ice is the least defensive type in the game, being weak to 4 types and resisting itself. Regice also has a weakness to Stealth Rocks, whereas Regirock on the other hand can actually use Stealth Rocks, making it the slightly more supportive Pokemon. Regirock also has a more useful hidden ability, and benefits slightly more from its physical move pool compared to Regice's special move pool. Unless you're thinking about running a physical Regice, which if you were looking to lose every battle, I would recommend. So given that its reasons for sucking as a legendary are very similar to Regirock's, as well as being slightly worse, it only makes sense to put Regice somewhere slightly further on the list, making it possibly the worst Regi in the game.
Once again, one of my favorite Pokemon I have to semi-bash. Mesprit, let me just say, it has a really good move pool, but also let me say, it's worse than Necrozma. Worst out of all the Lake Trio, and there are so many other Psychic Pokemon that outclass it. I'm sorry, Mesprit, that's all I have to say.
Number 3. Regigigas. Okay, this is the last Regi on the list. Obviously. I mean, Registeel is clearly the best of the Regi trio, and there's no way it could be any worse than this Regi. How ironic that it turns out the master of the Titan trio turns out to be worse than the Titan trio. I mean, at first it looks super promising. Looking at its stats, they're fantastic. Amazingly distributed. Too bad it has its attack and speed cut in half for the first 5 turns. And to make things even worse for the Trio Master, it can't even learn the moves Protect or Rest, meaning good luck keeping it on the field for more than 5 turns. Now you do have the option in double or triple battles to change Regigigas' ability, with moves like Skill Swap or Worry Seed, but it still probably wouldn't be worth it. The 4th generation introduced a lot of strong legendary Pokemon, and unfortunately Regigigas is definitely not one of them.
Oh, finally I can have some fun with this Pokemon right here. Fiona or iPhone, lol, okay, that was a really bad joke, but for mythical Pokemon, Fiona gets outclassed by a lot of water types, despite it having 80 across the board. It just sucks. It was a waste of space in the Pokedex. We already have Manaphy. Why do we need this thing? I mean, it can breed, I guess. That's cool, but who cares? Why have Fiona when you can use Manaphy? Nobody cares about it. You can breed it from Manaphy, and it doesn't evolve into Manaphy. Now don't get me wrong, its move pool is decent, but once again, Manaphy exists. So why does Fiona exist? You got me, dude.
And the number 1 weakest legendary Pokemon is... well, it's actually 2 Pokemon. Cosmog and Cosmoem. And I'm pretty sure that no one is going to disagree with us. These 2 are sharing a slot because, well, it'd be totally pointless if they weren't. They're basically just as useful as each other, apart from Cosmog's stats being absolutely terrible, and the only moves it can learn being Splash and Teleport. Cosmoem additionally gets Cosmic Power, has good defenses, but this means nothing when your moveset is just 3 moves that aren't really helpful in this case. Now of course, in order to make these Pokemon good, you have to evolve them, but they're classed as legendaries by themselves, and on their own, they are without a doubt the weakest legendary Pokemon in the game. Damn. Wouldn't have thought it was possible for Game Freak to make a Pokemon that was competitively worse than Unknown. But they succeeded. And that is our list for the 10 weakest legendary Pokemon. Hopefully this video can go to show that just because something is legendary doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Although I'm sure you guys already knew that. Thank you Mystic for helping me out today.
No problem. Over on my channel, we have a list of the strongest mythical Pokemon, and let's just say these Pokemon outclass the weaker ones tenfold. And also, I'm pretty cool, and I like Umbreon, so you should definitely come check me out.
We'll see you over on Mystic's channel if you didn't already come from there. And if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon videos in the future. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.